Thank you, Margot. Welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting. Thank you all for coming out. It's always good to see lots of folks. The first item on, first thing I'd like to do is ask you guys, the Code of Ethics ballot discussion and possible action is listed as number 4. The Municipal Ethics Commission is meeting in the other room right now to talk about what we've asked them to talk about. To give them time to get that done and come back out here. Can we get a motion to move that down to follow number 8?
I make a motion that we move the Code of Ethics ballot discussion and possible action to position 8.5.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thanks. Okay, next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on July 26, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting July 26, 2022, and also make a motion to approve, we had a special called meeting on August 12th. Special called Selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
I second those motions.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is audience of citizens. Any business to come before the board? Okay, hang on a second. Get some chairs for some folks. There are chairs at the table too, if anyone wants. I know.
I don't think he said that.
But it could be a long meeting.
Yeah, you are, Fred.
Okay. Ms. Russell, I think your hand went up pretty quick.
Thank you. I'm Catherine Russell, a resident of Deep River, but I'm speaking tonight in my capacity as Vice Chair of the Republican Town Committee. And to let you know that we are proudly endorsing Ben Whalen, whose name I spelled wrong here, W-H-E-L-A-N, to fill an open position on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Ben has served for several years on the Planning and Zoning Board. He's a building contractor, and through both his professional experience and his civic work, he's developed a deep knowledge of zoning issues, laws, and regulations. And we know Ben very well through his service to the town committee. And working with him, we've seen his integrity, focus, fairness, commitment, and commitment specifically to the town of Deep River. So we're strongly endorsing Ben and hope that you will appoint him to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I'm sharing this, I've got a copy for each of you. And Ben had an unexpected business commitment tonight. He's not here, but here is his letter to you talking about his desire to serve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. We will take that under consideration and move that forward as time allows. Fred?
Fred Jordan, West Elm Street, Deep River. The trash facility on Cloudwood Park is expecting to increase their tonnage. One of the questions I have is apparently they're taking our bulky waste. Was that something that went to bid? Because there are other companies, including a local taxpayer, that runs a similar facility. Is that something that's left over from a previous administration? Or is that something that we're just doing out of habit? Or is it something that's gone out?
It hasn't gone out to bid, Fred, in a long time. We've been bringing our bulky waste there for a considerable length of time, well before I was involved here.
So that's right. It's not an accusation.
Long before it was there. It was I think it's Eastern Transfer now. It was, I think CRRA built it. I'm not sure.
No, CRRA didn't.
Okay, well,
I can't think of who it was.
yeah, well, it was another firm before these guys, and I think it might have been another firm before
At the
that.
time, and I attended the first.
Maybe CMPM or something
I
like that.
attended the first Planning and Zoning Commission
CMPW.
hearing when they had that. It was all supposed to be all nice and green and recycling. And since then, they started bringing in municipal solid waste, garbage. That's adjacent to our town facility or town park. And I'll tell you what, I've been by the one in Essex, which brings in a considerable amount of tonnage. And I know that the town's facing an issue with the mirror plant closing. which I guess is which operates the one in Essex. But I don't think this is something we want next to a town park.
I think, I want to stop you right there, Fred, and I respect what you're saying, but I want to be careful. I want to ask you to be careful. You sit on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they have an application in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission right now. So I think it's imprudent of you, and maybe legally dangerous for you to express an opinion in public before the public hearing is even closed. I understand what you're saying, but I think it's really important that you not prejudice yourself already. Now, I will speak to what you're speaking about. There are some positives, but more negatives to this application. I think that the DEP has already permitted them for household waste. But it's something that we don't need per se. It could save us some money, but we don't need it. I think that we have a facility, whether Mira continues to operate it or not. There is a facility in Essex, which is not far away, that's already existing. I probably will come to the next meeting to speak a little bit more understandably and a little more focused. But right now, I don't think it's something that's positive for Deep River. I don't see how it can be. But but I'm still formulating that opinion. I think there are some ways we could control, if we can control the amount of tonnage, if we can control where the waste has come from, if we can say, you know, Chester, Deep River, Essex, and Old Saybrook are the only towns that are allowed to bring their waste there, then I think that could be, that might be something that could work. But those are things we need to talk about. I don't, right now, if I had to vote, and I don't have a vote, I would suggest this is not something that needs to come to Deep River, that Deep River needs any more further expansion of.
My concern is a conflict of interest that we're doing business with them on a non-competitive bid basis, apparently.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. Thanks.
I'll give it to you.
Hi, Rob Kinney, 185 West Bridge Street. I just have a simple request, or actually see if you have any movement on it. It's a road out in front of my house.
Yeah,
It's been an
yep,
issue for
yeah.
a bunch of years, and it's getting worse. And I have a stone foundation, so it shakes the house basically. And just wanted to see if you had any plans to, I know West Bridge, that section was actually ground and done, she's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But even if it was just a portion before and after my property to get rid of this seam there that causes, all the buses go by my house.
This is from your house, right? This
Yeah,
photograph?
that's from my house, and
Yeah.
this is right in front of it
Okay,
here,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Just,
That house is across the street.
This is my house here.
Oh, that's your house,
This
yeah,
house.
okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
You can see that.
So it actually reverbs through the property, believe it or not, and actually shapes pictures on my walls. It doesn't look like much, but it does.
Yeah,
So-
so the plan, and you know, I appreciate your coming and you're pointing it out to us. I don't get a chance to drive all the roads all the time. But this is on the list of pushing that patch further down or doing something to get it away from any house. And I think the problem is, I think that no matter where we push that, there's going to be a seam.
Right.
So we want to try to push it away from where there's any residence.
The road, yeah, there's no
Yeah.
residence
Yeah.
past, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
spectacular, but that could get moved up on the list, it's been.
I know.
Thank you.
Do we keep those or do you need those?
Absolutely, feel free, yes, that can go to the highway department.
Well, I think they stopped, when they redid the road, this was, like you said, 10 years ago or so, when they repaved the section of the road, they only went to a certain point and stopped.
And even pre-repaving, that's where the original, when they put the bridges in, there was a seam there.
Oh, is that
It's been a
right?
long time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
I have one other question, Angus. And that's
Well,
over.
let's come back around, okay?
Okay.
Hi, I'm Susan Hollister, 48 Village Street. I'm also here about town control conditions, and this involves drainage. I recently came across my first set of notes that date back 17 years with all the calls to Dick Smith, E. Lewis, Jonathan Kasner, And this has been 17 years. And most recently, 5 years ago, I contacted you about the depression behind my garage, which is getting worse. The drainage between it, I'm not sure where it starts. I know it goes at least from the end of Grove Street all the way through to Village Street. It's not functioning, and it hasn't been for 5 years. I have paper documentation, email documentation. I have videos of the rivers during heavy rains that run through the property behind my house, through my yard, bringing water up to my garage level. And time after time, there's a promise that this drainage area will be cleared and repaired, and after 17 years, the condition still exists.
Well, I'm sorry about the 17 years, that's for sure. I'm certainly more sorry about the last 5 years. I know you and I spoke and walked around there, and we had some of the town
Right,
crew
along
up
that
there.
field.
Yeah, we had some town crew up there, and we looked at it. It's a big project to fix that correctly. It's a huge project. Because from what I understand, and I have the town engineers are looking into it and seeing what we can do or how we can do it and not have it continue to recur. Because my understanding is that this was repaired 6 or 7 years ago.
No, it hasn't been.
Well,
It was-
Ed was out there and did something.
There is a pipe that goes from along between my property and Klein's property, but the area that goes all the way back to Grove Street, or again, I don't know where it starts. I've never walked it because I'm afraid of poison ivy, but that is almost completely filled in now. And when you and Ed were there 5 years ago, you saw that the end of the drainage pipe that had been put in was completely blocked.
I can't remember the specifics. I do remember walking around. I remember looking at the end of a stone culvert that had been running, that the stream went under, over by Grove Street and went underground. Somehow or another that got blocked when the construction of the sewer came through. What we need to do is try to figure out what to do with that water with such a low, it's so flat through there. Where do you put it when the water's underground? And that's why we need the engineers to try and look at and come up with a solution as to how to resolve it.
17 years worth of...
I can't speak to anything happened before 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
Okay,
and
but
since we
still,
met.
5 years is a long time.
I understand it is, and I'm
The
trying to,
depression behind my garage gets deeper as the years go by. It's now bowl-shaped. It wasn't bowl-shaped when you and Ed came. It was just one really deep hole in the ground that
yeah.
you couldn't even figure out how deep it went.
What I remember was that was over to the right of your garage. I don't
It's
remember
right
it being behind your garage.
my garage,
Okay, yeah.
and Ed said it runs under my garage, under my driveway.
Yeah. Well, that's the concern. It's under your house, and I'm not sure.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
The main part is the drainage, that it's a town-owned drainage easement that runs between the property lines from at least Grove Street all the way to Village Street.
Right.
And yes, there is, they did lay a pipe at one point, but it stops at my property line. And the open, what used to be open drainage is now filled in with silt and other things. And every time it rains now, are rivers that gush through the woods behind my house and flood my yard.
Well, why don't we arrange to have another walk, and I'll have the town engineer come out with us, and we can look at it all together and see and try to speed up their proposed solution.
I just thought with this year with the drought,
No, it's a good time, I know. I speak with the crew,
Perfect
I speak with the crew every year about getting out and doing, at least doing something with that hole. I don't understand how we're gonna repair the drainage. I don't know how we're gonna do that. But the hole I'd like to look at.
I can explain to somebody how it works, because that drainage easement between the property lines, there is one area that crosses into the lot behind my house. And from there, it's supposed to go shoot next to my house, under Village Street, and down to what is the stream. And that is not happening. I
Right.
can hear when, it's been a long time since we've had a heavy rain, but you can actually hear the water running from what should be the drainage ditch across the back of my property, heading towards my property. So it's,
Well, let's communicate this week and we'll try to get over there as soon as I can schedule the engineer to come with us. And we'll try to expedite the repair.
okay, can I have some sort of a timeline?
We'll reach
It's
out.
year after year after year.
We will reach out to you this week and we'll arrange to come over there.
Thank you.
We'll visit next week and then we'll see what the engineer has to say and what kind of a project it's going to be. I really don't know.
Thank you.
Gary?
Okay.
I thought I saw Gary before you, sorry about that.
I know you probably don't want to hear from me.
No, I love hearing,
Yesterday.
I love talking to you.
I'm sorry the way I was upset yesterday, but
It's
I
okay, it's
was once again
understandable.
standing in 3 inches of water.
Yeah, I
Ever
understand.
since the house at 138 River Street has been built, my house is flooding at 8 Phelps Lane.
Okay,
You are very aware of this. Dick was aware of this. The drain that you guys redid on the street doesn't work, so Kristen's property is also got massive washout from this last storm. But I have a video I'd like to send you, or I could show you if you'd like to see it, of the water that was going down my driveway yesterday. I nearly hydroplaned coming through where the pump house is down on River Street, because that was built improperly, so now all the water pools really bad there when that's been done. But there's certainly a drainage issue between my house, where Adam Brooks lives, and where Natalie Lowick used to own across the street. There's a pipe that ran underneath that house that Woody Surratt capped. It used to run into a lot across the street that has failed all the perk tests in 1983. And when they were done, when Woody Surratt built that house, that property failed all the perk tests. There's still a house next to me, and because it's there, and the land was changed and raised, we constantly flood. I had to have John stop work yesterday to come home and help me save our house from drowning once again.
I can't speak to any permitting on the house next door. I don't know anything about that, other than what you're telling me. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you are. If it was something was done improperly, then we should know.
But you've been aware of this issue for years now.
Let me go back to where I was going to go. We've been speaking with you since the sewer went through there and we repaved Phelps Lane. We've spoken with John, and every time we come up with a solution, it works. We curbed a little bit more, it worked. Then
It
we put
doesn't work.
then we put an apron on, and that seemed to work.
We were
And
told
then
the curb
it
was
just got
fine.
pushed. Every time that we do something, it moves down. So now we're on schedule to curb the rest of that road to bring the water
I was
down.
told it was getting a curb in June.
No, you were told it was getting a curb as soon as we could this summer.
No.
We haven't had it scheduled, and all I can tell
I
you
would
is,
like it to be scheduled because we've had some serious equipment ruined in the garage.
yeah, I called the town,
Did we get a bill to the town for that?
when you called me yesterday, and other people called me, my wife called me and told me about the water that was in our basement. I
Your
called,
house is not my
I
problem,
called it,
yes.
I called the
I'm
town
sorry.
crew. The water was in my basement for the same kind of reason that you're talking about.
Well,
The
the
town
town
did
was
the
responsible
town did a
for that.
bad
You want
job
them to handle
paving.
it.
What I'm trying to tell you is that when I called the town crew to address all of these situations, the town crew said, we are planning on getting out there when the weather allows, and when they have the equipment. They've been working on projects all summer long, getting things done, taking care of patching on pavement, taking care of other different projects that are taking place. That project is on the schedule. It is not, I don't have a date for it, but we'll be there as soon as we can. We will be done this summer.
Next time when I have a heavy rain like we did this.
I would put some sandbags out if you know it's coming before.
Do we charge the town for that?
I don't know, you'll have to,
This
why don't
is
you, why don't you
making the
send,
town aware for
why
a
don't you,
very long time.
why don't you send me a
You've been aware of it
note?
for a very long time.
And we've been trying to address it every
It shouldn't be
time,
costing us money.
every time we talk
Because the
about it.
house was built where it wasn't supposed to be.
Every time we talk about it, we talk with John and we come up with a solution. That solution doesn't work, we try again. I learned about this particular situation.
I mean, there's.
I learned about this particular situation this spring.
No,
I
you
talked
did
to
not.
you and John this
John
spring.
had you over there after that house was built. Yes, I remember you being in my driveway and him showing you the washout, absolutely. It was around the same time you wanted him to fix an engine for one of your.
No, I think he was working on my
So you
generator.
are aware of this. You have
Okay.
been aware of it.
Thank you. Gary, you had something?
Yeah, mine's got nothing to do with water, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The ZBA, that's an appointed position?
And then it goes to town meeting.
Oh, it does go to a town, does it go to a town vote?
Yeah.
All right, so everybody has a voice.
Yeah.
All right, that's all you put down, thank you.
Fred?
Yeah, I had a question on, because I don't know if we can ask about it afterwards. Apparently on the agenda, there's no smoking on town property.
It's a proposal, the Parks and Recreation sent to us, yeah.
How are we gonna enforce that, would be my question.
I don't know, the same way that other towns and other communities do.
Which is,
I would suppose the police.
or at least have so much to do and.
I know.
I would think, and we talked earlier, I would think that if it became an ordinance or whatever, it would be a deterrent.
Yeah.
It would be a deterrent. Will it stop people from doing it? No. But will it be a deterrent? Yes.
That the vendors aren't supposed to move around during the parade, during the muster, and that's not enforced.
Well,
And I saw numerous complaints to vendors during the muster over that.
Well, did anybody make the police aware of that?
The police were walking through the.
Yeah, we actually did have someone doing a bicycle, going up and down Main Street through the whole of the parade.
I didn't see
So,
them
yeah,
during the
okay.
time I was there.
Okay. Now, shoot, I don't know what we
is there
did,
more?
but, is there anything else? I'm sorry.
I have a question on that too.
Okay.
They are required to get vendor's permits?
Yes.
Yes,
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Are they advised that they're not supposed to move during the parade?
I would imagine so, but I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
get the ordinance.
Yeah.
That needs, I know it's a town ordinance, and I don't think
Yeah.
that they're advised,
I think it's probably part of the permit.
they don't respect it, that's.
Well, we'll try to, now that we know about it, we can try to enforce it a little bit better.
Fred, I actually issue the permits for the vendors, and I give them a copy of the ordinance every time.
Okay, well, they're ignoring it.
Yeah, I did see, I saw them when the parade was stopped moving along, but when the parade was moving, the ones that I had to stay in here, but I did see them stop. So I don't know what they were doing up or down this little area. Yeah, this little
Said
area.
things to them,
Yeah, no, that's good, but,
help anything.
yeah, no, because I was watching, because I was ready to call the police on
Let's move
one
them
of the
back.
vendors, but they had, everything was
I
status
mean, I'm
quo.
just using that as an example of
Mhm.
something that's really unenforceable. It's like the town dock, you know, you can close at sunset, yeah, but not really.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, and I see the Ethics Commission is here now, and we had moved you back on the ballot anticipating that you would not be here yet. I just assumed, because I don't know what, this could be when a lot of folks are here, to ask for a motion to move that back to number 4 on the
I
agenda.
make a motion that we move the ethics discussion back to item 4 on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Code of Ethics, ballot discussion and possible action. I see Luther is here and some other members of the Ethics Commission. So,
Great, yeah, so we just had a quick meeting.
Yeah.
So it's Joan, Carrie, Josh, Bob, John, and myself.
mhm.
And so we reviewed this in a draft form, was it a couple months ago, maybe?
Mhm.
Month and a half, 2 months
Yep.
ago. We've been through a couple of revisions of the code. We got a lot of feedback on the code, a lot of written feedback. It's been reviewed twice by Attorney Marsh. It was also reviewed by the State Ethics Commission
Mhm.
at one time. And we pretty much took every single edit that was suggested to us, with the exception of one, which is the definition of a complainant,
Yep.
right? And that definition of a complainant is causing some angst, let's just say, among people. We define a complainant as any person rather than just a resident of Deep River. And we talked about this at length before we drafted the code. And so we left it in as is. We took all the other edits, but we left the definition of complainant as is. We were asked to reconsider, and so we met today to reconsider, and we voted as a group to keep it as is.
Okay.
Right? And what we want to do is we want to ease concerns that you may have about having it any person. And one is being about how we handle the complaint process itself, which is when we get a complaint, the immediate review is that if it doesn't apply to what our definition of a conflict of interest or violate any part of the code, it gets kicked out immediately. We have asked many, at least a couple of municipalities, Old Saybrook being one of them, you know, how many complaints do you get on an annual basis? And it's very few. It's maybe 1 or 2 a year. And most of them are frivolous and they get kicked.
Yep.
They get kicked out.
Yep.
It's like the dumpster's in the wrong spot, or the traffic light is out, or those are not ethics violations, those are grievances.
Yep.
Right? That have nothing to do with conflict of interest or financial interest or anything like that, right? So, so that's, we think we have a good process in place. I did a review of what other municipalities have defined, and I think I sent some screenshots of their actual code. But Old Saybrook defines that complainant as any person. Guilford doesn't specify one way or the other. Groton, any person. Essex, not specified. East Haddam, any person. Clinton, any person. And also Norwich is defined as any person. And so we feel that we're consistent in our definition of what a complainant is with other municipalities. And we're not out of the ordinary. We didn't find any examples of a code, of a municipality code of ethics narrowing the scope to just a resident.
Okay.
Right? A couple of examples. So like a business owner or a property owner or even a town employee, they may not be residents of the town. And if we put that language in there, they would be prevented or forbidden from filing an ethics complaint. And we don't think that's necessarily fair to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why we left the language as is.
Okay.
We think it's a good document. It's been reviewed several times, and we would like consideration to get the document on the ballot and host a couple of meetings in the October timeframe, public meetings to answer questions and defend the code, and hopefully put it on the ballot in November and get it voted on.
Yep, no, I don't think there's any question it's going to go on a ballot. That's why we're meeting tonight about that. You and I spoke about that.
Yeah.
This, in order to get on the ballot, we need to work on this now. And very first thing that I want to say is I appreciate the effort that all of you have put into this this task. This is not an easy task. None of you are lawyers. Most of you came from, just volunteered to get involved, and it's
That's no lie about that.
it is very much appreciated. I attended a lot of the meetings in the early stages, and was very impressed with the effort and the consideration that you all, and the thoughtfulness that you all put into this. This document is a very good document. My concern, as I expressed to you, I asked you to reconsider 5 words, because I am concerned that any citizen or any person can be anyone, as I expressed in my emails to you. It could be a contractor who comes into town, or comes into town from New York or from anywhere, and comes in and tries to develop a piece of property, and he sees a decision being made, and he sees a possible conflict of interest or something that he disagrees with, and he makes that claim. Now, you say yes, frivolous will be tossed away, but frivolous or not, it still gets made. It's more reason for you to meet. It's more reason for things to happen. It's a possible litigation, all of these different things that may or may not happen.
Right.
And my point to you, and I think you all saw the email, was this is a code and this is a commission that has been put together by and for the residents of Deep River. It's here to protect us from impropriety, not folks from out of town who may or may not have a legitimate grievance. It's for Deep River. If in the future we see that we need to change that, then we change it. But I think it's easier to add than it is to subtract things from a code. And I feel pretty strongly that it should be residents of Deep River, and if we need to say residents or taxpayers of Deep River, that's a good thing. If it's employees, the employees have the grievance process already in place through the union contract. So I don't think that that's a legitimate argument for that. Business owners, I think, are taxpayers in town. So I agree with you. We're going to move this to the town. There's no question that we're going to do that. This has to come to the town for a vote. I believe very strongly that the best place to get the most participation is on the ballot. And in order to do that, we have to do that before September. So we're going to move the whatever document you guys give to us forward. What I expressed to you was it may or may not, depending on your decision, and you've made your decision, have the full support of the full Board of Selectmen. I'm hopeful that we can have more conversations between now and when the vote takes place. And I'm hopeful that in the workshops that we're going to schedule and host, that you can explain to me better why these words, you feel strongly enough that these words should be in here. But I support the document other than these 5 words. If we just make it citizens as opposed to citizens and taxpayers as opposed to any person, then I fully support it. And I don't know how these guys feel about it.
I agree with everything that Angus is saying, and I tend to go toward the Deep River, not restriction, but the limited language, just because this is new to us. We as a town voted to have it. And any document that is started from scratch, it's great to formulate a document by what everybody else says. But part of me has always said, just because everybody else does it that way, I don't need to do it that way. And I'm not saying that that's specifically what's happening here, but any document is a document that can be grown. You know, I've always been, I'd rather walk before I run. And, you know, and the regulation, if it is restricted to Deep River residents or taxpayers and it becomes apparent that that's not working, it could be added. So I think that the document is, I'm 100% on board with the document. I just think maybe it's best that
Well, but on the flip side, if we see an abuse of complaint filings, we could also change it back. We could change it to be more restrictive.
Yep.
So I think that the logic of making changes goes both ways.
It does.
Right?
Yep.
And so I think we would be absolutely willing to do that because we don't want to be flooded with complaints. We don't think we will be. We think there might be an initial spurt, but we also think that once people figure out, oh, I can't complain about this because this isn't an ethics violation, that my curb is smashed in or whatever.
But wouldn't we prefer to err on the side of caution? That's my only thought.
And I hear the concern. You know, I'm just stating, you know, the consensus of the group.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
What we have.
I get it. And we're going to move it forward.
And I think if the commission is willing to do what you said and it feels that it's not necessarily have, you know, anybody and to bring it back, I mean, move it forward or move it back if the commission is willing to entertain those type of things as experience grows and complaints do or don't come
definitely,
in.
if there's a pattern of abuse, I will be first on board to make adjustments with the group. The other thing that we're authoring is, that we don't have the document here today, is the Citizen's Guide to Ethics, which is sort of step-by-step, what is an ethics complaint? Why would you file one? So it hopefully will help alleviate, okay, do I have the ability to file an ethics complaint or not? And it basically spells out Oh, there it is, right here.
Yeah, you
And
presented that
again,
to
we're
us.
still
Yeah.
in the process of modifying this, but we saw a couple other municipalities do this, and that was a good idea. 'Cause it takes sort of the legalese out of it, and it just explains, hopefully in plainer English, about what an ethics violation is and what a complaint is and why you file a complaint and the reasons for filing a complaint. So
That's a very important part
we're
of it.
committed to have that in place as well, so.
I'll chime in my 2 cents. Again, thank you, everyone that worked on this. It's a lot of time and energy. As someone that works with a union and works with the Department of Labor, we're under ethics all the time. And I represent 3,800 members. I'm the president of the local. We can have anyone file a complaint against us. Doesn't have to be a union member. And so I'm torn between this as being a Depot resident or outside. Because my paying job, anyone can file one against me, which is what you people want here in town, right? You want anyone to have the ability to file file ethics complaint against you. Where my counterparts here were a little bit more for just a deeper resident. So I'm torn, and I'm trying to wear 2 hats here, and I can't give a decisive answer right this second.
Okay.
But I just,
Yeah.
I'm 100%, I was the one that signed the original petition in the beginning. I'll be proud to say I did it, because I believe in it, because I live underneath that sword in my normal paying job. So I support it. It's just I'm not quite sure on the Deep River versus anyone.
Okay.
I just wanted that to be
Okay.
said.
Fair enough. And I want to say that we hear your concerns about this, and we don't want to see this abused,
Right.
right? And we want to put everything in place to curtail abuse or snuff it out at the source if it ever happens.
No, I understand, and that's the whole point of this, and these conversations are good to have. I think, you guys have decided you're not going to change your document. So the next step is for us to make a motion to move this to the ballot at the next general election, that's our motion. And then we'll put it on the ballot, and we'll discuss it over time, and we'll have the sessions that you're talking about. Now, I will need a fresh copy from you guys of all of the documents that are ready.
Yep.
That don't say draft across them.
So
And we'll make them available at the town clerk's office.
We will undraft this one.
Yep.
We are still working on, we got some feedback on the complaint form. Not enough room to write, I guess, or something, right? So we'll fix that.
Bigger the complaint, the more you need.
And then we have to review some edits on the complaint process.
Okay.
Now, what we did is we strategically, and I think we talked about this before, we strategically took the complaint process out of the code
Yeah.
and referenced the complaint process from the code. So that gives us a lot more flexibility to modify the complaint process if it's being abused,
Yeah.
without having to re-ratify the code in an election or a town meeting. So.
Yeah, no, that's right. That was a good
So we
idea.
we have a little bit of flexibility because we're coming into this brand new as well. We don't know, we think we know what's gonna happen. but
Everybody
we really
is,
don't know
yeah.
what's gonna happen.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and that's why, again, I suggested that we err on the side of caution and go into this slowly. But, you made your call, and that's good. It's all good. You guys did great work.
Absolutely.
And it's, as I can't say it enough, I appreciate it. I saw you guys when you were first getting started, and this document went a long way from where it first started, so.
we
I
talked for
appreciate
an
it.
hour about pecuniary.
More than an hour, what at least a week.
Well, don't ask me what it means, so.
We appreciate it. So unless anybody has anything else to say on the Ethics Commission or on the Board of Selectmen, then we'll entertain that motion to move this forward as presented by the Municipal Ethics Commission to the ballot at the next general election.
I make a motion that we move the document as presented to a town meeting
No, to the,
I mean,
to the next, to the ballot,
The next ballot, I'm sorry, in November, whatever,
the next general election.
Next general election, there we go.
And schedule a couple of public meetings.
Yep, those we can work with you guys and,
Okay.
and open up the auditorium when it's available and
Okay.
get as many of those as you like. I would like to have at least 2, maybe
I'm
3.
thinking 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And those should be close, not Halloween, but in October, I would think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, agreed.
good.
And the document needs to be available, it needs to be posted in the paper 30 days before the election.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, there's a whole lot. We can't put the whole document on the ballot. We're gonna
No,
put a yay or
no,
nay on the
but-
ballot.
But can it be available on the website? Can
It's
it-
going to be available on the
On the
website, it's
website?
gonna be available at the town clerk's office.
Okay.
And it's gotta be posted in the paper. Amy knows all of that stuff, all those rules, so we'll make sure all that's done properly.
So I will second Jimmy's motion.
Yeah, we should have had
Yeah.
that before we had the conversation. Shane. Sorry about that. All right, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys very, very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your taking the time to get together and talk about these concerns again. I really do.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss and possibly act on a Buckingham Road abandonment. I see Lori Giannotti is here from the, or
Is that
was
ready
here.
to cut out of here?
Yeah, no. Now's the time, man.
Yeah,
Run,
right.
run.
Don't look
Yeah.
back.
It's raining right now, yeah.
I'm sure it's flooding.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The Land Trust, Deep River Land Trust, I think Lori's still here if she wants to come up to the table. Great, now you're behind Jim. If you want to come up to the table, terrific. Buckingham Road, as you may or may not know, is a
Get my stuff
small
out of the way
town-owned
here.
road off of River Road. Okay? There are developed properties on either side of it, but the Land Trust has purchased or been donated to, I'm not sure which, it doesn't matter. Land Trust owns
Donation?
property on both sides of Buckingham Road at the end. If you note, Buckingham Road does not go anywhere, it ends here. The proposal that I'm making is that we abandon Buckingham Road from the end of the private property so that no private property owners will be affected. Actually, that one better go like this. So that way, none of the private property owners are affected. And the ownership of the Buckingham Road will go, when the municipality abandons a road, the ownership goes from midway through the right-of-way to the property owner on whichever side. Since Land Trust owns on both sides, the Land
Except for
Trust.
here. This-
Right,
There'll be a little
Yep.
piece of property.
yep, there's a piece of property here, but, and here's the but on that, they have their access already comes up from River Road. So we're not accessing the property here now.
No, but they'll get that
They will
little,
continue, they
they'll
will
get that little
That's
chunk of
right,
land
yep.
if we do this.
That's right.
Yeah.
They will get that chunk of land, and they will never lose the right. Abandoning the road does not extinguish their rights to traverse over that right of way. They can continue to utilize it to access their property if they so desire. But by abandoning it, the ownership goes to the land trust. The town is under no further obligation to improve it or to do anything like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but from about right there, it's nothing basically but forest.
That's right.
So,
That's right. This fellow here
other
is,
than the map saying there's a road, there is no road.
right. And this fellow here is developing his property now. He's going to build a house up here, but he will continue to have access on it. So this, in order to do this, it needs to go to a town meeting. I'm not going to push you guys. This is the first you're seeing it, to make a decision tonight on that. I'd like to make it public, but and the map will be public if anybody has any concerns.
Have these people been notified?
No, not yet.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
Being that this basically is a map-only road even to there, what responsibility does the town have to make it a transitable road for him to get to his piece of property?
I'm exploring that right now. It doesn't appear as if we have much obligation to it, or any, actually. he actually can access from the end of the road.
That's
existing.
what I'm,
So he can come on here if he
I-
wants to.
I personally don't see the town building this road for him.
No, and I don't have any interest in
And that's
that
why I don't want them to come back and say it's a town road, you've got to do it.
Nope. And as far as I can tell, we don't, but we're still
Okay.
continuing to explore that.
It's not a very improved road right there. I pulled up there the other day on one of my old car cruises, went up there, I'm like, ooh.
It's actually on our list to pave this year.
Yeah, it's a very,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's why I was asking about the people that
Yeah,
own
no,
that.
we need to notify these folks. We need
Because
to
all of a sudden they can say,
notify.
hey, you know what, I've had access on that town road,
Yeah, yeah.
and they can come and,
But this has, other than it being on the map, it's just forest.
Yep.
Maybe
That's right.
back in the 1600s, maybe there was a goat path through there that became a town road back when.
Yeah.
I wonder how it became a town
other-
road to begin with.
Well, I don't
Being
know.
that it's forest
Probably-
land.
Probably with the subdivision is
Yeah.
probably all owned by the same person. The other thing we need to explore is whether the state is giving us money for our town aid roads. If the full extent of this road is part of that. It shouldn't be, but if it is, then we need to explore that so we don't lose some money on that.
it shouldn't because it's a
It's
non,
not-
it's
it's
not a
not
road
approved.
now,
It
right?
doesn't
That's
even
right.
exist
It's not
in name only.
No, that's right, but
You don't
what?
know.
You gotta
Yeah.
explore, you gotta explore all these things.
Yep.
So I wanted to make you guys aware of it. I can certainly make the maps available for you if you want. The map is available at the first selectman's office if anybody in the town wants to take a look at it, or if any of the neighbors. We'll reach out to the abutting neighbors, in particular, this guy who is most affected by it. And,
Where does the land trust plan to have access to all this? From down here someplace, or
that's up to
do
the,
do you have any plans yet as to, using
Well,
that,
that's,
or come off a river road, or come off of this side?
right now, we're coming in from, actually, we're using a piece of property off, I need help with the name.
Rattling Valley.
Is it
Winterberry?
the-
Rockland Valley?
No,
no, it's not Rattling
it's
Valley.
Winterberry
It's
right
near
here.
the Essex Land Trust,
Yeah.
property. It's our Lions Preserve.
not-
Lions Preserve,
Okay.
Yeah, is that off of Meadowood?
which
No.
is, I'm pointing
Yeah,
It's
it's
off
off of Meadowood, right?
at Meadowwoods.
Okay.
Yeah, and this property is connected to that. So it really, it's awesome that the land trust has this greenway, if you will, from River Road all the way through to Meadowwoods and
Yep.
then further.
Yep.
And this really, it's just a form, as far as I can tell, it's just a formality.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I said, my only concern is because it's a road on the town maps, that property owner could say, I want
Yeah.
the town to build me a road. In other words, a road for his driveway only. And I don't think that that's something that we should be doing. He should, if he wants to do it, he'd take it off of that and access, and
No, because it's unimproved, we're
Yeah,
not
okay.
obligated to do that.
that's my only concern.
At least that's what the initial exploration
Okay.
is. So, we'll continue to move, what we need to do to move this forward. I don't think we can do anything tonight, we need to communicate with some folks, but we will continue to do so. And,
Okay.
you know, if you guys
I don't
have any
see
further
I
questions.
don't see any problem with it, other than one concern I have.
Okay.
My main thing is notifying those people, that's my,
Yeah,
number one.
Yep.
How can we help with this? If at
Any
all?
contact information for these folks,
Okay,
for your neighbors?
I will find
We'll
out.
reach out to them.
Yep.
So what's the benefit of it? They're just capturing some of the town land to put in the preserve? 'Cause
Yes, the capturing some of the town land, but, and I think that's probably
I'll look at it tomorrow.
a good way to say it. You're welcome to come up, but it's a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So even in the future, if there was a need for it to go somewhere, it's gonna dead end there. So it doesn't do the community any good
no.
to have it there. It's not, future development is not at the end of it. The land trust now owns that, so there's not gonna be any
How long
further
has the land
development
trust
there.
had both those pieces of property? Are they recent acquisitions, or they've been a long
Yeah, it's
time?
about a year, maybe.
A year, so it's recent,
Pretty
okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, and if we draw that line right here, none of the abutting owners where it is improved or where it potentially could be utilized, are affected by it, so. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns?
So the next thing that we have to help you with contact information, and then there'll be a town meeting.
If you give me contact information, we'll have another conversation about it. We'll give the public more of an opportunity to have a conversation about it. This isn't something I don't think we should run this through as quickly as we can. It is town property. So we've initially introduced this idea to the town. The townsfolk can now respond if they are inclined. The map is here, as I said, if anyone wants to see where this is. We're happy to show them, and then we can move it forward. We'll come back to another Board of Selectmen's meeting after we resolve all these concerns, listen to any concerns from the public, and have another meeting where we talk about moving it to a town meeting and abandoning it, and then we'll schedule a town meeting and abandon it.
That's a lot of steps.
It's a lot of steps. It's not that many, really.
No, I'm just teasing.
Not as many as an ethics code.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, guys.
Wait,
Thank you.
You guys have any?
No, I appreciate you guys,
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your efforts. You guys are doing a great job. All right. All right, item number 6. Discuss and possibly act on a smoking ban resolution in the parks and town areas. Parks and Recreation has been talking about this for quite a long time. They finally put together a request, a formal request to us to pass a resolution and push that forward to a town meeting to ban smoking. What do they say? Shall use a lighted cigarette, cigar, cigarella, pipe, or power-on vaporized device, or use cannabis-type substance, including marijuana, as defined in the Connecticut General Statutes, in any park, playground, recreation area, athletic fields, trail, boat launch, beach, or area of assembly owned, leased, or controlled by the town of Deep River and Deep River Parks and Rec Commission, as may be specifically designated by us. I have no problem with banning smoking in public parks. You know, the secondhand smoke gets outside. That's one whole thing. But the litter it's just it drives me crazy. And you know, we try to accommodate with ashtrays, but those stink. They don't get emptied as often as they probably could, and they don't get used. You're right next to an ashtray, cigarettes on the ground. So I'm in favor of moving this forward, but again, this is a group decision, and it goes to the town. The parks are run by the ordinances. The ordinances dictate, and it'll come to a town meeting.
Is the landing a park,
Landing is a park.
or is this contained to just that it's in Waterloo?
No, the landing's a park. It's a public park. Parks and Rec has the control over that as far as renting it and doing things like that.
I have no problem with it. You know, Fred mentioned enforcement. Well, I think if anything, it's a deterrent.
Yeah.
And that if somebody sees somebody's working when they shouldn't be, Joe Public could say something because it's posted. So
Yep.
I don't think we're gonna task our constabulary to go around and nick everybody that's smoking, but it's going to be a deterrent that you know, there's not going to, hopefully there'll be less butts out here
Right.
at the park where some of the kids go and partake in other things and whatnot, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's fine. It's more of a deterrent than anything, and then that way anybody can say you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I agree. The only thing that would concern me is that if I was at the park this weekend and there's a bunch of kids, whatever, adults, whatever, smoking, and there's no police around, well, then it's Monday morning, the phone calls are going to be coming to Joyce, they're going to be coming to the town hall here.
Yep.
I'm just more concerned about, and I'm trying to be politically correct here, I don't want frivolous phone calls because one guy lit up a cigarette.
Yep.
I think there's more important things that we should be monitoring in town, but I support this. So I don't want, like I said, I don't want the frivolous phone calls.
Yeah, no, I
So-
agree.
So how do we police it, and how do we enforce it? How do we monitor it?
We put up signs, you know, we depend on the police, if they're available to see something, if we depend on the gate guards at the landing or the lifeguards at the parks to alert the police if someone is smoking and refuses to stop. There are going to be signs posted, no smoking, all of that kind of thing.
I kind of equate it to if somebody all of a sudden lit up in here. We're not gonna call the cops because somebody's lit up, but you're not allowed to smoke here, and they go,
Right.
and they put it out, and
Right.
then they go away, and it's mission accomplished because it is the rule with the ordinance or the law.
Like you say, I don't think this is the be all and the end all. It's going to change Deep River dramatically into the thriving metropolis. But it is I think it's a positive thing. It's a step towards limiting litter, potential for limiting litter. It also, and this is something that, it's a little bit weird, but the state law, when they legalized marijuana, anywhere that smoking is allowed, smoking marijuana is allowed. So
That was my next step when I was going down.
so that's another deterrent, if you will, to public smoking of marijuana, which I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's good to not, just like drinking in public.
Again, if someone lights up a cigarette, oh well.
Yeah.
Someone lights up a joint or whatever they call them, I feel different about that than a cigarette.
Yeah, at the park you
I
get,
know that it's legal, but
Right.
just my points of view.
yep. So that's where I sit on it. As written, this is a pretty good resolution. It's been reviewed by the town council. So I would, if you guys are in favor, I would think we can move it to a town meeting.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So you said that marijuana would be under the same rules as cigarette smoking. So one of my concerns would be, to me, the smell of marijuana and the lingering effects of marijuana is greater than than cigarette smoking. So I'm wondering if it would be possible to not just ban it in the parks, but in public areas, so that, like if somebody's on the street in front of my house, my house is just 4 feet from the sidewalk. I don't feel that somebody should be able to smoke on a public street, especially when my house is only 4 feet away from that public sidewalk. So my recommendation would be that if people want to smoke, they smoke on their own private property and no public areas, not just limited to just parks.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, Bob. I would not have thought about that.
Parks, I think, is too limited as to where it shouldn't be allowed. I just think it should be not allowed in any public area.
Yep. No,
I don't know what the.
I don't know
what the
about that,
legalities
frankly.
would be, yeah.
That's an interesting thought. We certainly can run that past the parks, the Parks and Rec is who suggested this, so they certainly wouldn't have thought about roads. I didn't think about roads.
The transfer station is not a park.
Right.
But, if somebody be smoking next to me while I'm depositing my garbage.
Yeah, well, I think this does say,
I
and
was
we
just
talked
gonna
about it, and there were some edits we were going to make to this, and I didn't get in, so let's think about it for a minute. Thanks, Bob.
Just something to think
Yep,
about.
thank you.
Or any area
Assembly owned.
owned,
Yeah.
leased, or controlled by the town of
There you
Deep
go.
River.
There it is.
Yep.
So the
it's-
transfer
so-
station would be included in
Yeah,
that.
so that would be,
Sidewalks
yeah.
then?
No, sidewalks owned by the town, right?
If they're owned by the town. I wouldn't,
Okay.
Spelled out.
yeah, it's right there. So, but there was something we were gonna change.
Yeah, one of the paragraphs.
And that's, I feel like the marijuana and the cigarettes are two different, but I guess.
They are two
I guess
different.
it's not anymore, but it,
No, they
it's not
are.
how it was.
They're completely two different things.
You
Listen,
know?
man, I grew up in a car,
I get it.
cigarette smoke, filled with smoke.
I can see not smoking any of them on the town beach or park or anything, but the guy walking his dog smoking a cigarette maybe is different than smoking
Well, I
a
agree.
joint in front of your house.
But it's state law.
But the
says that
state, and
the
that's
city
why
then-
maybe this is overreaching too
Well-
far, and maybe there's a marijuana ordinance and then there's a tobacco ordinance.
No, I think that the point, my support for this really comes from the marijuana on the parks. Because the law, the Connecticut law, doesn't distinguish. So, you know, we were, during the muster, we were walking down in the muster, it was 2 years ago. Not this muster, but the one previous, right after the law had become into effect. And we're walking down the street, we get to the town hall, and I just cracked a joke. I said, it smells like we're walking into the New Haven Coliseum in 1972. It reeked. Somebody was having a blast. And good for them. But I'm not sure on the public streets, certainly during a parade or in the public parks, it's appropriate. So I think this is pretty well put together.
I think this is a good first step.
Yeah, I think it works. And like we said earlier, erring on the side of caution, going a little bit at a time is better than.
And maybe it could be pursued as to what the legalities are, as to, you know, the sidewalks and all that other. But this is a good first step.
We'll see have a bigger conversation at the town meeting, because we can't do this without a town meeting. So, if you guys are comfortable with it, then we can move it. If you're not comfortable, take a couple of weeks and we'll move it next time.
I'm good to move.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
You want to
Make
make a motion?
Make a motion to move the resolution approving a smoking ban in all park and recreational areas to a town meeting for discussion.
Good. Second.
But why don't we say as presented?
As presented by the
Yeah.
Park and Recreation.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Angus, but if you needed to make changes to the resolution, can you, as the way you made the motion?
No. No, we would have to present it as it is.
Or do we want to leave it in further discussion?
Make a motion to pull it back?
No, we just voted on it. We can pull it back, but I think this has been reviewed by the town council, and I know that there was talk about maybe removing carry or smoke a lighted, you know, it's just that use, or take the word use out. So we can have that conversation as we move it forward. At the town meeting, we can make changes. Got it?
Yep.
Thought you weren't gonna sit in that chair.
I got the squeaky chair. Sorry, audio lady.
All right, we have got, next item on the agenda is tax refunds from the tax collector. That goes, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 refunds that need to go out for a total of $13,544.18.
I'll make a motion for the tax refunds from the tax collector, 9 of them, in the amount of $13,544.18.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the next item up is Nicholas Olson, request for updates.
Yeah, thank you. I reached out, seeing how, where we're standing with this year's road improvements, seeing if you were able to identify what we plan, or the town plans to tackle this year.
Yeah, we do. Couple sections of River Road, Buckingham. We're looking.
Is she writing these down?
No, give me a second, I can go on my list.
It would be nice to have a more formal presentation of what this is ultimately, but you're.
I'm curious, as you know, every year the town has allocated money to do road improvements, all improvements, sidewalks, catch basins, you know, road work. And I'm curious, you know, Mr. McDonald has put out this year an RFP process that brought in a lot of competitive bids, which is in the best interest of the town. It's driven down numbers and made things very competitive for the best town's interest. He put out 15 or 20 roads.
Yeah.
I don't think we would do that much.
No, we're not
So
gonna do that much.
I was just curious as to what was on the RFP, what roads, what has been identified to go after.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you. I wrote what they were in just this afternoon, I was finishing up a newsletter article, but I may not remember all of them.
Okay.
But
You can
certainly,
email them to me.
certainly 2 sections of River Road,
Yep.
Buckingham. We're hoping that we have enough money to get a couple of sections on Meadowwoods. The last section of Westbrook Road and Jones Lane are the ones that I know about.
Where's Jones Lane?
Jones Lane is a little loop that connects Bridge Street, West Bridge,
Yeah.
to Union. And
Right
that's
down that
needed,
sharp corner.
that's needed it
Come
for,
around.
that's needed it for a really long time. But
Okay.
at this point, we're kind of sweeping up the street when we go up there with a street sweeper, so,
It's bad.
it needs to be done. It's a difficult section.
Okay.
What is in the budget this year from the town size?
The town side this is really strange, but most of our road work is done with grants. The town is spending 50,000, the grants are 200 and another 150, so 400,000 is what we're going to spend.
And that's all Boner Road?
Yeah.
All
No, some of it goes to sidewalks, some of it goes to trees. There's, yeah,
there?
but the vast majority of it is roads.
So you can email me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
After seeing the pictures that gentleman presented tonight, if there's a way to try to fix that
Yeah.
portion, I'd like to see that somehow, if we have enough money, because
Oh, yeah.
that didn't look very,
No, it's really frustrating. Nick can attest to this. For many, many years, when we improved roads, we may have put a lot of dressing on the roads. We didn't really mill them up and repair them properly. And I think that's what happened on this bridge. It's certainly what it looks like. It looks like there's about an inch, and then it's peeling up.
well, that's why I originally asked. It doesn't look like there was 2 paving. It looks like there was probably a trench put there for some sort of utility.
It almost looks that way, yeah.
Yeah, but that's because there's a patch. We went up there last year and
Patch
patched
it, okay.
the seam, because of the problem that he was having. And you can see where we patched is fine, but on either side of it,
Yeah.
it's falling
No, it's
apart.
gotta
So
be-
it
but
needs to be redone.
Those pictures were,
But
they
and that's part of the dilemma in this kind of thing too, right? We've got, if you do drive around town, there are sections of roads that are worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
And need attention sooner, so
Yep.
we try to patch that until we can get to that section of road again. The frustration is that we spent a good amount of money on that road 10 years ago. I hate to go back after 10 years and redo a road, but we may just pull an inch and a half up and put another inch and a half down. I don't know, we gotta see what's underneath it, you know?
Another thing not that I'm an engineer or anything, but coming down River Road to Essex Street, and if you were going towards River Road, you go over the tracks and then that bridge, that road
Yeah.
has settled
Yes, it has.
drastically.
Yep.
You're thunking off the bridge when you
No,
go.
that's right. We're
Yeah.
working with the engineers. We obviously, we can't do anything with the bridge. That would be entirely too expensive, but
Right.
we're gonna raise the road there,
Pull the road
so.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bigger.
Yeah, I felt it the other day. I was like, I wasn't there last fall.
No, I know it. I know it.
And then lastly, I know I've been down here 6, 7 times asking about the Mislick property, and you said you were going to speak to whoever
Well,
may be.
you know, we've been speaking with the attorney. What we're going to do on that, Nick, is when it comes time, we're going to have it appraised and put it out for sale, and best offer, because you're not the only person who's interested in it. There's a lot of folks interested in it, so we'll go with best offers and sell the property.
When is that timeline?
I don't have a timeline for that, but I would expect that it'll be by year's end.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure, but I would expect that.
would that be best offer or a sealed bid for the property?
Well, that's a good question, right? And that's what I would ask the
Yeah,
attorney.
that's what
whatever's
I've been
legal,
pushing
what's
for in the
better.
beginning.
Yeah.
Hey, we just did it for the brush pile, right?
Yeah.
Sealed bid, you open it up and
Yeah,
Jimmy wants to bid X and I bid Y.
Yeah. That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
The other thing we
It's
want
gotta
to
be
talk
fair
about
for
with
all
that is what we do with that money. I feel pretty strongly that all of that property was put into was dependent on an incubator grant. And I think that anything that we make on that ought to go back into a pool so we can help.
I shouldn't go into the general fund.
Should not go into the general
No,
fund,
It should be
yeah,
put
so-
aside for maybe there's something down the road.
It's another incubator development, My hope is that we can maybe do some public-private investment on Main Street and get some of the buildings there that need to be repaired, and cooperate with some developers and turn those into office spaces.
I agree.
I got,
Kinds of things.
kind of adding to
Maybe
that,
affordable housing.
you know, you guys have that, you know, there's that property, but the town also has the rental property, you know, and it just kind of seems like, you know, why are tax dollars, I know it was before your time, I get it, but, you know, we're not in the rental business. This is the government down here.
Yep.
And that maybe we should look at selling that property off as well and taking the money. I mean, that building's gotta be worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And, you know, I know all the rent comes in, well, it's gonna need a roof, it's gonna need a lot of things. I mean, you know, we're
Yeah, no,
not
we,
town government.
I mean, I'm assuming you're speaking about the,
I think
400
there's
building.
whatever one it is
Yeah.
down there, yeah.
yeah, that tenant, I've addressed that with him, 5 years ago now, to try and get him, to purchase that. I don't really think we
But someone
want
can
to.
buy it, they just gotta keep, he's gotta pay the owner. Right.
Well-
That's,
Well, there's an idea. I
Right.
haven't thought about that.
you know,
Yeah.
it comes with a preoccupied
That's,
lease.
we don't own that property, we lease that property from a private owner, we own the building. So that gets a little convoluted on that, but that's a good thought. So far, they're a great
And
tenant.
for what is kind of my point, you know, 'cause
So
people
far,
sort of-
it's a really good tenant, and the town is in fact making money on it, but, it's also, what, do we wanna be in the rental business?
Right, I'm looking at putting a roof on my building,
Yep.
and you should see what metal buildings have gone up.
I know,
It's insane,
yeah.
you know, and that's, you know, it sounds good when it's coming in, and then you get a roof for $115,000, and where's that come from, the general fund, or is the rent, you know, allocating money every month to save for the, you know, recurring
Yep.
cost in 20 years?
Just a comment is when it comes to, you know, Nicholas's comment about the roads and all that, that I think that, you know, your conversation with, is she still there?
Mrs. Hollister, yeah.
Ms. Hollister,
Yep.
back there, that we need, I think we need the town needs to look at and give it appropriate
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah. and-
absolutely.
And I understand it's been a long time, and I feel that pain, and we have.
Since your kids were just toddlers.
Yep, so I think that needs to be, you know, evaluate what it's gonna cost to fix it and how to fix it and all that kind of stuff and go from there, but it should be officially addressed as soon as it's practical.
Kind of to add to that too, you know, I don't know where we are, maybe you can look into it, but, you know, town engineer every 5 years or so is supposed to give a report on the bridges that we own. You know, and, you know, as far as Deep River, town owned, you know,
The state does that, all bridges in town, the state does every year.
oh, no kidding,
Yeah.
so they do,
Yeah.
like Essex Street too? You know, like.
Yeah, they do, they give us a report. I don't know if they look at every bridge every year, but they give us a report every year on the bridges that are on their schedule to look at. Thus far, we've been, the only bridges in the last few years that have had to be replaced are state-owned, so that's worked out pretty well.
No, we did the one by the library, it was 20,
No, but that was, in my tenure.
yeah.
You know, we've been lucky with that. We are looking into, on Plains Road, repairing that culvert. And I'm hopeful that there might be some grant money where we could actually replace the whole thing. The infrastructure bill had indicated that, but that needs to be done regionally, you know, so we've got a project, the engineers are working on a scope, so we can apply for a grant to do that, so.
Okay.
All right?
Good.
All right. All that said, it was a good meeting tonight. Take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion and we adjourn at 7:44.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Tomorrow.